Podcast number 7, more fun with limits. Like with so many of them, if you substitute this number, you're going to get division by 0. That means you need to do some algebra. With this one, this is a fraction within a fraction, also known as a complex fraction. So the way to simplify a complex fraction is you get the least common denominator. So with a 5 and a 5 plus h, the least common denominator will be 5 times 5 plus h. And there are different ways to do this, but the fastest, easiest way is get the common denominator and then multiply on the top by that and multiply on the bottom by that. So it would say the limit as h approaches 0. And the bottom would have h times 5 and then parentheses 5 plus h. And for the denominator, don't multiply it out, just leave it that way. Then for the numerator, you do multiply it out. So distribute this. And when you distribute this over to here, the 5 plus h on the bottom and the 5 plus h on the top are going to cancel. All it leaves is 5 times 1. Next, it's minus. And when you distribute this over to this second fraction, then the 5s are going to cancel. So it's going to leave minus parentheses 5 plus h. The next thing to do is distribute the negative. So there's going to be 5 minus 5 and they cancel. And then distribute the negative to the h. So it's going to be negative h. That's the only thing left on the top. And the bottom, just copy it down again. And then the next step is this h is going to cancel this h, so it's going to leave negative 1 on the top. And now that this is canceled, that is the thing that was causing division by 0. So once that's canceled, you can just go ahead and substitute that h becomes a 0. So this would be negative 1 over 25. Now to check the answer. So to begin with, negative 1 divided by 25 as a decimal is negative 0.04. And then when I check it, graph the original problem. So the first one is 1 divided by 5 plus h. And then the denominator needs to be in parentheses, minus 1 divided by 5. And then that whole thing is divided by x. In the window, the x values need to include 0, so that's good. And our answer was negative and very small. So I'm going to change the y's to go from negative 1 to 0. And then, so there's the answer. It's very small and it's negative. Now pick something very close to 0. So go trace 0.0001. And the answer, negative 0.04. You can either leave it as a fraction or the decimal.